Hi and welcome students to this new tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to cover the quick guide of React.js. So it is for beginner and those who are want to refresh their knowledge in React.js. So let me dive in React.js quick guide. So we have this table of content. We are covering this all concept in this one video. First we are going to install, then we are going to cover some core concepts just like JSX component props, and then we are going to cover hooks, useState, useEffect, context API, useRef, and control and uncontrolled component in React.js. So coming to the installation part, to get started with React, follow these steps. Okay, first you will have to install Node.js. If you have not already, download it from the official website. Go to Node.js, this website where you can download this. Simply you can download here for Windows, Mac, and every system. Um, and the second is create a new project using create React app or using Vite, which can help in creating the React project first. So go to vite.dev, and here you will have to choose from React. Here you will have to go to get started, and here you should go to this, and in this you will have to select to React.js. So here now, before starting, let me install the other thing for you, git download. Okay, and make sure that you have downloaded this thing also. Okay, now let me create a repository in GitHub for this code. So come to GitHub. I think I had created last time a repository, but I didn't work in that. So I'm going to find that repository. Let me go to repositories. Here I'm going to open the repository. I think it was not used. The net is little bit slow. So this repository, but I had not worked in that particular repository. Here I'm going to use it again. Okay, see, I will have to use this command. So before starting, here I'm going to open the integrated terminal. So git init, it is initializing the git in this folder. So here I'm going to git add dash for adding all the things to GitHub, and then you will have to commit and give some message just like initial commit. I hope I spelled the initial wrong, but I don't care. Let me push now this code, but before pushing, let me choose the URL. Here I want to do such things. Okay, and now I will have to push it. Push the master branch. You can create it a main, but I'm going with master. Okay, now it is post on GitHub. Let me show you. Here if I refresh it, here you can see it is my code and with initial commit. So let's create with git checkout. It is for creating the branch with GitHub, and this should be core concepts. Okay, now I created another branch. So I want this terminal to be somewhere here, I think, but let me run the server. Npm run dev. Now the server is running. Now let me copy this command and paste it in the. Okay, what is happening this? Let me paste it here, and here now our basic React app is running on port 5173. Now let me go to the notes what it's saying further. There is a core concept just like JSX. So JSX is JavaScript XML. It is a syntax extension for JavaScript that allows you to write HTML like code directly within JavaScript. So here is an example. Let me show you with code. Okay, let me grab it little bit, and I think I should to hide this terminal here. Now let me open the app.jsx file where we are going to code. Before coding, let me show you what these folders are. So if I here it is node modules, which are the folder where all the packages are included which we are installing. Okay, the second one is public where we are putting the images etc, and the third one is src where all the necessary files are present just like app.css, app.jsx where we are coding, and the other is index.css which is the global CSS file, and the other is main.jsx, which is including in this index.html file, which is the heart of React.js. Here you can see with this route ID and this script main.jsx file is linked here in this HTML file. So it is all the files, and here you can see package.json file, which including all the configuration file for this React.js project, and this is with-config file, and this is the package log.json file, which including the dependencies of dependency. Okay, so it was the folder structure for this project. Now let me show you some code examples. So we are starting the core concept, which including JSX. So let me show you what is JSX. Here if I come to this code, okay, let me open this in the other terminal. Okay, now let me open it here. So here I will have to clean it. Before I will have to create a function app. Let it return some value from this. Hello world, and let export this function. Export default app. So if I show you here, let refresh this. Here you can see the hello world. So here you can see we are writing a HTML like code in JavaScript. It is due to JSX. So this is JSX, which is compiling to a React code with the help of Babel. So thanks to Babel. So it was actually JSX, where we can write HTML like code in JavaScript. So if here I try to write another tag, this will throw me an error because HTML function can only return a single parent element, where we will have to wrap all the code. For example, I will have to return only a div. Here div, let me return a div, and in this div we will have to code. For example, if I go to create an h1 the world, here you can see I can write here h2 the biggie. Okay, so we will have to code in this way. Either you can also use another thing which is called React fragment in this. Okay, you can also code in this thing and it will not throw errors. See, it is not throwing error, but if I write code outside of this fragments, then it will throw errors. Here you can see unreadable code detected. Okay, so we will have to code in these fragments. Okay, now let's come to the another topic, which is called component. So actually React is component based library. So components are the building blocks of a React application. They allow you to split the UI into independent reusable pieces, making the code more manageable and modular. There are two main types of component in a React. So one is called functional component and the other is called class based component. But we are going only to cover the functional component, as the class function is now eliminated from the React. Okay, and now let me show you how we are creating functional component in React.js. So before, you will have to create here a separate folder for this. Here I'm going to create a folder in the src with the name of component, and in this component you will have to define the component. For example, if I had to create a component for header, so you will have to write it in capital form, and its extension must be JSX. Okay, and here you can create a functional component with React with JavaScript function. You will have to name it what you have named the file, and you will have to must return something from this function. Okay, and it can return only one value. Either you can return the fragments or a div, and you will have to code inside these things. Okay, now let me export this. You will have to export this. We can export with two types. One is default and the other is named export. I will show you both. So this is a default export, and you will have to import it in the main file, which is app.jsx, which is linked in the main.jsx. Here you can see it is rendering here, and we will have to import this header here. So let me show you how we can import it. Import with default export, we can import it with any name. Let me show you. Here I'm going to import it with the name of navbar. Here you can see now component not header. Okay, if I show you, here you can see it is now access to this point, and here if I use it, let me use it, now bar, and okay, now here you can see the header is now visible, and if I import it with the name of a header, now let's see, it is also working, it is still shown, but if I export it with name, then it will not shown. For example, if I go export it in this way, export const header, okay, and let me show you in the app. Now it throw error, okay, the request module does not provide an extra name, you can see here, and you will have to must type it in this curly braces. Now it will work, okay, here you can see now it is worked. So this is two type of importing and exporting in React.js. One is named and other is default, okay. Now this was functional component, how we are making a functional component. Now let's create another component with the name of footer. So you will have to make it in capital form, and extension must be JSX, and here you will have to define a simple JavaScript function, and the name must be same to the file, so you will not get confused. So here I'm creating a file for footer, and you will have must return a single value from this. Either you can return a fragment, React fragments, or you can return a div from this, okay. Now you will have to export this, and here I'm going to return h1 where I'm writing footer in h1. Now let me show you. Okay, I will have to import it in the main file, which is app.js, and I'm going to use the footer, so it will directly import the file. Here you can see it is imported directly. Here you can see now the footer is visible. So this was all about component in React.js. So I'm going to integrate the tailwind CSS because I can't style with core CSS, so I'm going to integrate the tailwind CSS. So you will have to go to this website, and here you will have to follow these steps. First you will have to copy these things and import it in the terminal. Let me show you. Paste it here, okay, and then you will have to copy these things, but before doing this, let me copy these three commands and copy and paste it in the index.css file. Where is real, you will have to replace it with this, and let me wait for this. It is installing these dependencies, it can take time, but before I will have to introduce you something others. Here you can see it is an example for functional component. Here you can see function with the name of welcome, and it returning h2 welcome to React, and export default welcome. So we are going to cover the another topic of React.js, which is called props. So props, short for properties, are used to pass data from a parent component to a child component in React. They allow components to be dynamically and reusable by giving them different data. So I will show you with code. Here you can see props are passed into a component as an object. The parent component provides the props, and the child component receives the children them, okay. So here you can see functional greeting. Here you can see this name, and return hello name, and it has passed is in the form of props. So let me show you. I think it is done. Now let me copy this thing also, and now I will have to paste it in the where in the tailwind config file. I think let me paste it with this. Now it should work. Let me see at yes. Okay, now let's see whether it's working or not. I will have to delete this app.css file, okay. Now let me go to the app.js. Here I'm going to see whether this is working or not. I will have to spin the server before checking. Here you can see the tailwind is configured successfully. Okay, now let me show you what is the props. So here I'm going to create a new component with the name of parent component .j6 and create a function parent component and return h1 parent and let me give it some style. Page should to be red 6 and text should to be black and let pf4 and round it of md. Okay, now I will have to export this component parent component. Now let me put it in the app.j6. Let me show you. Here I'm going to import the parent component. Okay, now let's see. Here you can see I have gotten the parent component, but let's make it little bit good. Let me comment this one and go to the parent component, and here I'm going to make the text little bit greater. Text of 4XL, I think it should work. Here you can see now it's looking pretty. Okay, I'm going to create here a child component. J6, and here I'm going to create a function child component and let me return h1 child component. Okay, now let me export this with the name of child component. Okay, now let me import it in the parent. Here I'm going to wrap it in one div and let import the child component here. Now here you can see I am getting this child component. Now I want to pass data from the parent to the child. How I can? Let's create here a user. Const user is, which is John, and age is 25. Let me pass it to the child component. Here you will have to pass it in this form user. So actually you will have to receive this user in the child component. Here you can get this in two types. Here you will have to pass props. Now let me console these props, what we are getting in these props. See, here you can see we are getting user, and in this user include the name and age. So how we will get the value from this, we will see in 1 second. Here is okay, hello, and the name from these props dot user dot name. Okay, now let me show you. Here you can see hello John is visible now on screen. So I can also restructure this props object, as you know that it's object. So let me destructure it. Now we will have got the user from this. Now instead of using props, now we can directly grab the data from the user object. Now let me show you user.name. Now here you can see still the hello John is visible. Now let me show you how we can pass multiple props from parent to object. Here I'm going to create const my name is Saddam. Now let me pass it also my name as my name. Okay, now let me get this in the child component. Here you will have to receive the my name also, and in h2 I'm going to my name is now it's giving me error because I have not wrapped in one parent component. parent div. Let me wrap it in one. Okay, I don't know why it is happening. What is happening this? Why it is not selecting this one? Let me div, and in this div let format the document. Now here my name is my name. Okay, now let me show you. Here you can see my name is Saddam. Okay, so this was all about passing data from the parent to the child. So let me show you what it's saying further. Visa.js 6, the component, functional component, and now also we have seen the props, passing props to parent components. So let me show you hooks now. So hooks are the functional that let you hook into React state and the lifecycle features from functional component. They allow functional component to manage state, perform side effects, and access other features that were previously available only in class component. So let me show you with code. So why use hooks? Simplicity. Hooks enable you to write simpler and more readable code. Reusability. Logic can be reused across different components through custom hooks. No classes needs, so you don't need to use class component to access state or lifecycle methods, making the code easier to understand and debug. So the commonly used hooks are useState, useEffect, useContext, and useRef. So these hooks are the most commonly used in React. Let's explore each of them in detail. So first we are going to learn about the useState. Okay, let me close this file, also this one. So we are going to learn about the hooks. So let me post the other code on the GitHub. So how we can post code on GitHub? Git add git commit -m basic concepts. Now let me post this code. Here I will have to post this branch to GitHub. Now let me go to the master branch and I will merge it with the core concept branch. Okay, so it will now merge. Now let me push this master branch to the master. Now let me create another branch with the name of hooks. So first we are going to learn about the useState. Let me create a new file in this hooks. Okay, and in these hooks first we are going to use useState hook.js6. Okay, so I'm going to close all the other files. So we are going to use an extension for simplify our work, which is called React snippet. You make sure that you have installed this package. So here you will have to write the RFCE. So this will give us a quick functional component in React.js. So let me go to the app.js6. Here I'm going to close the components and let me go to app.js6. So here I'm going to create it again with the refs. Now here I want to import the useState hook. Okay, now let me use this component here, useState hook. Okay, now here if I refresh it, okay, why it okay, now let me run this server. Let me refresh the screen. Here you can see the useState hook is now visible on the screen. So how we will define the useState? First you will have to write const, and it gives us an array. The first is the variable and the other is the function. So count, set count. Let me create a simple counter with the help of this useState. So useState, make sure to import it from the React. Okay, now let me go to this component and here, okay, let me create a simple button, and here on this add, for example, or increment. Okay, increment, and here I want to have h2. The count is initially I want to render it count. So whenever we are using JavaScript in this JSX, make sure that you will have to wrap this in the curly braces. Okay, now here the count is initialized with 0, so it will hold the 0 value. Let me show you. Here you can see now it has the 0 value. Now let me, if I make it 20, now here you can see now it is changed to 20. Okay, now on this click I want to change this value. So how we can do this? Let me go to this, and on click of this, let me call a function inc count. Now let me create this function here, function in count, and now let me call this function here, and I want to increase this value. So how we can do this? Before in JavaScript we were doing such like a count plus plus, but in this we are having a method called set count. So use this set count method. Okay, set count method, and here you will have to pass the count and plus 1 for incrementing the value. Let me show you. Here is this button, but I'm going to style it a little bit. Okay, bg red, and I want to give it some amount of padding, and the round must be empty, and let me I think it is now okay. Let me see. Okay, it's okay, but it is too okay. Now let me give it some amount of margin of 3. Okay, and I think text to white, no need, but still let's see. If I click it, then you can see that it is increasing. So we are managing it in this way in React.js. Okay, and let me create another function for decrementing this value. How we can do this? Here you will have to create another button, and this should to be decrement, yes. And let me create here a function on about not on click, and this should to call another function decrement dec count. Okay, and let me give it little bit style. Okay, now let's create this function also here with same logic, but dec count, and it should to set count minus 1. Okay, same logic, but only minus has difference in this one. Let me show you here. If I want to increase it, and with this I can decrease it. So it was the state management in React.js with the help of useState. We can also do this by decreasing the code length. For example, I unclick, I can directly change this one. You will have to directly call this set function here with this method set count, and I want to count plus 1. How shortly we are using JavaScript in the HTML. Okay, so this is the beauty of React.js. In one page we can write all the codes of 3 languages: CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. Okay, let me show you. It is still working. Here you can see it is increasing and it is decreasing. So it is inline function calling. Okay, so it was all about state in the React.js. Here if I show you another example, let me show you with theme. Const theme set theme is equal to light. I think I should to make it white, and here let me create a button with change theme, and on click of this I am saying that if the theme is equal to white, then make it black, and if it is black, then make it white. It is actually conditional rendering in React.js. So let me go to this div, and here I'm going to give it style tag in line style, and here I'm going to give it background color and equal to theme. Now it is now white, but if I click this change theme, here you can see now it is black. See, it is with the help of state management in React.js. How simple this is. Okay, so let me go to another thing what is further in this. So now we are going to cover the forms in React. Forms are an essential part for many applications, allowing user to input data in React. So basic form handling in React, let me show you with the useState. And when we are use useState with form, then such kind of component are called controlled component. We have also another type of component which is called uncontrolled component. I will show you later in this video. So how we can create form, let me create here a component for this. So this is form.js. okay, and let me make it a little bit greater. So here you will have to create a simple React functional component with the help of a React snippet. So let me create here a input form, okay, and there is no need of action in React. Okay, now let me create here a div. This div holding the label, and this label is for name. Okay, and here I want to pass the name, and here is also input text, and it should have the placeholder same as HTML. So enter your name, and let me copy this div, paste, and here I want the password. Okay, simple, password, and also here you will have to enter the password in this way. And here the text should to be password. Okay, now let create here a button, and this button should to be submit, and I want it type to be submit. Okay, type, and this should to be submit. Let me show you here. Before I will have to import it in the app.js. Let me do this, and I will have to use the form. Let's see what is happening here. You can see the form. Let me style it a little bit. I'm going to here I'm going to make it a little bit stylish. Okay, flex and flex call, and I want some width is give padding of 4, and width should to be gray of 200, and let give it some amount of shadow of 2 pixel, and come to this div. This div should to be flex and flex call with gap of 2. I think I spelled it wrong, 2, and also copy this styling for the other one. I mod it. Let copy this style and paste it here, and also for this button I want some amount of style. This should to be bg at 600, and p of 2, and m of 2. I'm not making it fancy, but I'm making it like a form, simple form. Okay, and let me make it little bit around it. Okay, and for the input I also want some amount of styling, outline none. Okay, and the border, border is border. Okay, now let me see how it's looking. Now I think it is good. Now if I write here something, here you can see it is visible, but I will have to do something with this form. So const name, if you want to track its value with the help of React state, so you will have to use this syntax, and initially it is empty, const, and the password, and set password is equal to use state of null, empty. Now let me use this state here. So for name I'm going to pass the value of name. Okay, and for password I'm going to pass the value of password. Okay, this was enough. Now let me also manage the state for this. So here is a function which is called unchange, and for this I'm going to receive an object with event, and this is set count or set name, and the set name should to be in this e we having a target object here, you can see, and this including the value. Actually this target is um, signing toward the input, and this input includes the value. Here you can see this value. So whenever we are changing some value in this, then this will saving in this name. Okay, and now let's set this for the password also. So come here in this password and unchange method. Here you will have to receive this e object, and this e set the password, and it should go to the dot target and dot value. Okay, now let's console what we are getting in these two. Let me go to this place and console password and name. Go here and F12 for this. Okay, now let's see. Here you can see now it is printing, and 1 2 3. Here you can see now it's printing both. So this is called form handling in React.js. How we handle the form? First we created the form with a basic code, then we pass the value which have here in this variable, and then we manage the state with the help of set count, set name or set password. And this object including the target, and the target including the value. Actually the target is the input, and it including the value of props here. See, okay, so this was state form handling in React.js. Here if I show you, here you can see the input, insert input value, and it's same to this. So the second hook is called the useEffect hook. So the useEffect hooks allow you to perform side effects in your function component. So let me show you with code what it means. So whenever we are to call a network or something other and want to run a specific task, then at that time we will have to use the useEffect hook. Let me show you with code how this work. useEffect hook.jsx. Now let come bring this here and roughs. Okay, and here now I want to use this useEffect. So first you should to learn what is its syntax. Is useEffect imported from React. It takes two arguments. The first one is the callback. Okay, the first one is the callback function, and the other is a dependency array. So this is actually the useEffect in React.js. First one is callback function, and the other is a dependency array on which this useEffect is dependent. Now let me show you how it is dependent. Simply let me create here a function const count set count, and is equal to useEffect useState of 0. Now let me create here a button. Simply on this button we are increasing the value, and click set count to count plus 1. Now let me paint this count here. h2 count is count. Okay, now let me export this and import it in the app.jsx here. So let's comment this and use the useEffect one. Okay, now let's see here. If I click this increase button, you can see this is now increasing. So let me call a function inside this. So actually this useEffect term has three types. First one is a render on each render. Okay, then we will have to not pass any dependency array, and the other is useEffect, this time callback with empty dependency array. So this will only render are called on the first render. Okay, and the third one is having some specific dependency. For example, let me show you. And if I show now the count, no, I will have to show you these three states in this section. Okay, so let me show you before this one. So here if I pass a console.log rendered, okay, now here you can see it is rendered. If I click it is rendered, you can see on each render it is rendering. Okay, so if we don't pass any dependency array here, then it will render on each render. Okay, and if we have passed an empty dependency array, then see what is happening. clg empty dependency array passed. Okay, now let's see what is happening here. Now let me again refresh it. Here you can see it is rendered. It is rendering due to twice due to the React strict mode. If I eliminate this React strict mode, see it will render only once. Let me delete this thing. Now here you can see it is only render once, but the other thing is rendering on each re-render. Okay, now let me show you with the dependency array. Where is it? useEffect hook. Now let me show you with the dependency array. Console count change. So whenever we have change in the count of variable, then it will render. Okay, let me show you how it is. Here you can see it is now render. Here you can see the count changed, so it is because rendering. Now let me show you with another example. If we have another button and it is actually changing the background color, change bg. Okay, and unclick of this, unclick. Let me create a background state for before count const where it is going. Let me create a const theme set theme, and if first I want to keep it white, so let me create here this function where this is. So unclick on count play, unclick, I want to pass the function. So set theme if the theme is equal to white, then make it black. Either if it is black, then make it white. Okay, now let me use this theme here. So make style, and here you will have to pass this, and background equal to theme. I don't know why it's okay. This is okay. Let me background color, and it is equal to theme. Initially it is white. Let me show you with code. Here if I click now on the, let me give it some amount of spacing from the other button. Style, not style, I think I should to give it class bgrade nm. Here you can see this is increase button. If I increase, then you can see that this function are rendering, and if I click this one, here you can see the render function is called, but and the other is not rendered due to it is not dependent on this one. If I pass this in this dependency array, then it will also call this one. Okay, so let me call it the theme one. Now here see, now it is also calling the function for the dependency. Okay, this is all about the useEffect in React.js. Now let me show you the other hook. Here you can see syntax, useEffect, and your side effect code and the dependencies. Okay, the third one is useContext. Actually it is against the props drilling, one of the most asked question of interview, props drilling in React.js. So let me close all these things and let me make it little bit good. So I will have to create here another file in the hook which is called useContext hook.js6. okay, so this is one of the most used hook in React after useEffect and useState. So the useContext hook is a simple and efficient way to use context value. Component context provides a way to share values between components without having to explicitly pass the props down. Let me show you the scenario we are where we are using this. So let me create here a file with the name of props parent.js 6 refs, and here I have some data. For example, let me create here a const user and this user including the name, let me pass Musa, and let me pass age of 25. Okay, now if I had here a children component, this should be h2, and this is parent, and here if I had a child props child, let me create this component here, props child.j6, and let me input in the parent. Okay, now let also receive this data here in the form of user. Okay, and we don't need this data here, and we have second props child here. Here I want to pass the h2, this is child, first child. Okay, this is first child, and here I have second child, props second, okay, second child. Okay, now let's create this also here in the component, props second child dot j6 props, and also receive this here in the object user, and it is props second child, but let me create here h1 for this, h2 pass this second child, and let me create, actually it is, now let's use this here, so you can see how far we use this data and pass it from the props parent to the props child and to second child, and you can go and pass it to many components with the help of props, and this concept is called actually props drilling. So for avoiding props drilling, we are using a hook which is called context hook. Okay, so let me show you how we can do this with the context. So if I show you now this data here, I'll have to import the where is the main app.jsx file. So here I'll have to do this, or let's use the app.js, the props parent. Okay, I think what is saying props child. Okay, I'll have to define it, I'll have to import it here. Cannot read properly defined name. Okay, it is saying I don't know what is the name user. Let me consolidate in each stage. So here props first child, props second child, and the props parent. Now let me pass it here, I had not passed it. User is user. Now let me see. Okay, I have not passed it in the props child. User is user. Okay, now let's see. Here you can see now the Musa is visible in the props second child. So this is props drilling in React.js. So for avoiding this, we are using a hook which is called useContext. So let me create here a simple React function, and let me create before you will have to create a context. So you will have to export this context also. Export const user context API, and create context function which is importing from the React. So it takes an argument, you can leave it. Okay, now you will have to wrap this with the help of this user context API. Okay, user context API, and dot provider. Okay, provider. this, and here you will have to pass the value argument which is sticking. Now let me create here a function const user which is equal to the name is Musa, and age for this is 25. Okay, now let me pass this data here user. Okay, now let wrap the main.jsx file with let me show you with the help of this file which is useContext. Okay, you will have to wrap this app with this. Okay, paste it here. Okay, I think user context x, paste it here. Let's see user context hook going to main.jsx, edit it to be hook. Now let's import it. Import this file from user context hook. Now let me show it is importing or not. Why it's not importing this file? I don't know what is happening to this one. Let me do it manually. Go to component slash use context hook and use JSX. Now let's see. Now it is good. Now let me how we can use this data. Here I'm going to use it directly in the app. Let me layer this before, and here we will have to use a hook which is called let me grab the user before const user, and this user is from useContext hook, and this is context taking the user context API, and I will have to import this. Here you can see this is imported from this thing. Okay, you can see this is this. Now let me console what we are getting in the user CLG. Now let me console this user. See here, I can't see anything now. It's why I'm unable to see anything in this console. Let me go to the user context hook where it was user context hook, and okay, here I will have to pass the children props. So use this children, and receive this children as a props here in this function. Okay, now let's see what is happening. Now here you can see that I have got this user, so we can destructure this user by doing simply let me go to the app.jsx, and here if I want to destructure this, you can destructure it in this way. I think let me show you. Now here you can see we destructure the user. You can see the name is Musa and age is 25. We can also pass anything from this, so we can use it anywhere. For example, if I go to the anywhere, if I go, then I can use it. So it is actually the use of user context API or context hook in React.js. So it was about use context hook in React.js. So it is a quick guide. I will not show you more example. The use context hook is used. Here you can see they have created a context for the light. Okay, so another hook is called useRef. So I will show you what is the useRef. useRef hook is a part of React hooks API and is used to persist value across renders without causing a render. It can be referenced to element store. So it is just like we are doing in the plain JavaScript. For example, if we want to store an ID or something in JavaScript, for example, we want to select the HTML tag in JavaScript, for example document.querySelector or document.getElement by ID. So it is similar to that thing. Okay, so let me show you with example. Here you will have to use the useRef hook.js. Now let me create here a function for this, and let me create here, okay, h2, and in this h2 I have the black magic. Okay, now let me show you how I can create this const h1ref. You can name it anything, and h1ref, and this is equal to useRef, and it is important from the React as it is React hook. So here you will have to pass reference and hold it with the h1 reference. So let me console what we are getting in h1 reference. Now let me import this in the app.js. Here you can import, let me clear this again, and refs, and import the component of that particular useRef. Okay, I will have to do it this way, useRef hook. Okay, now let's see what we are getting in this. So the current is equal to undefined, actually the current is equal to h2. So let me go to where, go to the useRef hook, where we have that current and include. Let me see what is getting in this. It is equal to undefined. Okay, it has no value. If I inner HTML, now what we are getting in this one, let me see. Here you can see we get the black magic. So if I create here a function with the button, click, and here I want to call a function, unclick. Now let me call a function change domo. Okay, so this changing will not cause the rendering. Okay, so function, and here let me change them, and here I want to href h1 dot current, and the inner HTML is equal to I am using useRef hook. Okay, let me show you. Okay, what is saying? Here you can see now it is changed. What was before? If you want to change the style of this, for example, h1ref dot current dot style dot background is equal to blue. Okay, now let's see. If I click now this, here you can see its background is changed to the blue, and we can also manage the we can also handle the changes of input with the help of useRef. Now let clg component render. So here you can see that it is not rendering the component if I click or change the state of any HTML element. See, it is not rendering, and if I do it with the help of state, then it will render the whole component, because when we control or when we manage the state with the help of useState, then it is rendering, and it is basically called the control component. And when we use the useRef hook, then it is actually called the uncontrolled component. Okay, so it is not causing the rendering or re-rendering. Let me show you the notes what it's saying further. Here you can see controllers is uncontrolled, so state management. Form input value is managed by React state, so it causes rendering, and the form input value is managed by the DOM itself. Okay, so when we control with the help of useRef, so at that time actually the DOM itself controlling the inputs, and when we manage with the state, so at that time the React state is managing the form input. Okay, so accessing the value, so the value is accessed from the state value props, and in this we have the current dot value. For example, if I show you here with the example, here if I have in input, okay, let's get a reference for this, const inp ref, this is equal to useRef. This must be, I think, I don't pass any value to this. Now let create here the reference, and this reference is going to the this one. Now if I want to grab the data from this, now let's see, if I pass a here value, for example a hello useRef. Now let's see if I console this here clg ref dot current dot value. Okay, now let's see what we are getting in this. Okay, what is the error? I don't know why it's giving me error. Let me give it option changing. So in this way we are getting the current value from the input with the help of reference. Okay, now let me go to the preview. Here re-renders, so every changes in input trigger a re-render. So when we manage the state with the help of useState, so it causes a re-rendering, and the changes do not trigger re-render. So with the help of uncontrolled or useRef, it does not re-render the component. Okay, so example is it used when you need to synchronize the input value with state, used when you need to you don't need to control the input value. Okay, common is form that requires validation, conditional enable fields, etc. And sample form where you don't need to track the input value in state. So whenever we want to check whether the password length is 6 or not, and want to drop error, at that time we are using the useState, etc. And if you want a simple validation, so you can go with the useRef. Okay, so here you can see the syntax. Here you will have to input, and this have type value, and the value we have in state, and unchanged you can see the handle change, and in this you can see here a type, and here you can see this is a reference object, and this including the input ref as we saw now. So when to use, when you need a full control over form data or need to apply validation or transformation. Okay, and when you need less control and want to reduce component complexity. So handling data is updated with use a set state function and re-render the component, and data is directly manipulated via reference without triggering the renders. So uses of this are not typically used for form elements, so frequently used to access and manipulate form values without causing renders. So we have, I think we are not using the uncontrolled components, we are always using the control component. So I was only to show you we can also manage a component without re-rendering with the help of useRef. So here is the example. If I show you this example, let me copy this one and paste it here. Okay, paste it in the useRef hook. Now let's see what is happening in this. Okay, it gave me error. I don't know why. It is okay. I will have to name it what I had named before. Use ref hook. I think it was like this. Okay, use ref hook. What is the file name? Use ref hook. Now I'll have to export it also. for default useRef. Okay, it is still not visible. I don't know. Here you can see this is no, okay, it does not causing the re-rendering. Okay, I think it is causing the re-rendering, but I have not consulted the value. Okay, now let me press enter. Here you can see item, load the whole component. Let me create here a button and show you this how we can stop this submit behavior of the form which reloading the whole screen. So here I'm going to type submit, and on the form I want to pass a function which is onSubmit, and here I'm going to either prevent the default. Okay, now here you will see I have data, but still it is not causing the component refreshing. So you will have to pass the e.prevent default when you want to stop the default behavior of any JavaScript function. Okay, just like form or anchor tag. So let me go to the notes again, and let me show you one example here. So whenever we are changing, let me show you, whenever we are changing in this, the component causes the re-rendering. Let me show name changed, and let me show you here clg component rendered. Okay, let me show you component render. Here you can see the component is rendering on each change in the input. Okay, so this was the control component, and if I show you the example of uncontrolled component, I think I have here. Yes, this is. Let me copy this one and paste it in the useRef hook here, and let's see what is happening. Okay, clg once render. Here you can see if I type here something, then it is not rendering, and it behavior is stopped. Okay, so this was all about the hooks and basic concepts in React.js, which we covered in this one particular video. So if you like this video, I will bring its second part where we'll have to cover the other hooks, just like use transition, which are brought in the new version of React, and forward ref, use action, etc. All the hooks we are going to cover. If you like this video, and comment it, and if you subscribe to the channel, so I'll bring the other part of this video. Okay, so let me push this code on GitHub. So here I'm going to stop this. Now git add commit m hooks. Let me push this code. Now you will have to copy this command. Okay, it is pushed. Now let me check out to the master branch. Here I'm going to merge it with the hooks. Now let me push this code also in GitHub. Okay, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.